In the heart of China, there is a place where the peaks do not belong to the ground. Huangshan emerges like a labyrinth of towering stones, surrounded by an eternal sea of clouds. Here, nature writes its own unique laws of physics. It is one of the impossible places where the boundary between reality and illusion is blurred. At the most dangerous summit in the world, humans are but tiny guests before the grandeur of creation. So why hesitate? Join hiderplanet as we venture into the heart of this perilous place to unravel the legend of Huangshan. Around 100 to 140 million years ago, eastern China went through a period of intense tectonic activity. During this time, the Earth's crust fractured and molten magma from deep within the planet began to rise upward. After tens of millions of years of relative stability, tectonic movements continued to lift the land. The layers of sedimentary rock above were gradually eroded by wind and water, exposing the ancient granite masses underneath. This was the stage when Huangshan began to form its mountain peaks, although the landscape still did not look the way it does today. In ancient Chinese history, the Huangshan area was originally called Yishan. However, in 747 AD, during the Tang dynasty, Emperor Xuanzong of Tang renamed the mountain Huangshan, meaning Yellow Mountain. That name is tied to an ancient Chinese legend. According to the legend, a mythical ruler regarded as an ancestor of the Chinese people came to this mountain to prepare an elixir of immortality. It is believed that after cultivating himself here, he attained immortality and ascended to heaven from the summit. Because of this story, Huangshan has long been regarded as a sacred mountain. For more than 1,000 years, this mountain has stood as a profound cultural symbol of China, a place where religion, art, and philosophy meet. For the Chinese people, Mount Huangshan is not simply a mountain range to climb or admire. It is seen as a sacred space, a place where people can connect with nature and find stillness within the soul. Since ancient times, high mountains wrapped in clouds have been regarded as places closest to heaven and earth. In Taoist thought, mountains are where the energies of heaven and earth converge, creating an ideal setting for cultivation and the search for immortality. Therefore, many Taoist practitioners came to Huangshan to live in seclusion, building small hermitages on the mountain slopes, isolated from the world below. In the quiet world of clouds and wind, they meditated, studied philosophy, and sought harmony between humanity and nature. Some ancient temples were built in the valleys or on the highest peaks, where monks practiced meditation and taught spiritual doctrine. For many pilgrims, climbing the peaks of Huangshan was not just a journey, it was a spiritual quest. Today, Huangshan is not only a famous tourist destination, but also a lasting cultural symbol of China. And to better understand this mountain, I will take you on a journey through the sights of Mount Huangshan and explore it in greater depth. My exploration of Mount Huangshan began at Greeting Guest Pine, where an ancient pine tree grows on a cliff at an altitude of over 1,600 meters. After hours of climbing narrow, winding ancient stone steps, the path finally opened onto a small stone terrace on the mountainside. And there, between a sea of clouds and sheer cliffs, I saw it for the first time. It may be hard to believe, but according to botanists, this tree has existed for more than 800 years. It grows at an elevation of around 1,600 meters, where the living conditions are extremely harsh. Powerful winds sweep through the area year-round. In winter, the mountain is covered in ice. The soil is almost non-existent, with only tiny cracks in the rock able to hold a little rainwater. Its roots weave deep into the fissures of the granite, gripping the mountain like natural anchors. The trunk has grown slowly over many centuries, each ring of wood forming under the constant pressure of wind and mist. It is precisely these harsh conditions that created the tree's unique shape, a form that does not grow straight upward. In Chinese culture, the pine tree has long symbolized endurance, longevity, and steadfastness. For centuries, the image of the greeting guest pine has appeared in ink paintings, travel writings, and even in cultural symbols of China. Today, it is regarded as an unofficial symbol of Huangshan. Leaving greeting guest pine behind, the stone path began to grow steeper. Ancient granite steps climbed higher, winding around sheer cliff faces. The air turned cooler, the wind stronger, and layers of cloud began drifting at eye level. With every step, I moved farther away from the valley below and closer to Lotus Peak. This is the highest summit in the entire Huangshan range, rising about 1,864 meters above sea level. But what makes this place remarkable is not just its height among the most impossible places. From a distance, the granite formations at the summit appear stacked in an almost uncanny way, not forming a single sharp peak. Instead, the massive rocks spread outward in multiple directions, like the petals of a lotus blooming in the sky. But reaching this lotus in the heavens is anything but easy. The trail leading up to Lotus Peak is one of the steepest routes in Huangshan. The ancient stone steps were carved directly into the mountainside centuries ago. Some sections are only about 1 meter wide, with iron railings fixed to the rock face, the cliff wall on the right, and a dizzying drop into open space on the left. When I arrived here, I finally understood why so many photographers wait so patiently just to capture that perfect moment when clouds and light come together. The higher you go, the thinner and colder the air becomes, and as you pass through the dense cloud cover, the sunlight suddenly pierces through the space, illuminating the mountaintop. Upon reaching the highest point, all fatigue seemed to vanish. From the summit of Lotus Peak, the entire majestic landscape of the world's most spectacular mountain unfolded before my eyes. My goodness, the swirling clouds resembled ocean waves gently caressing the foothills of the mountains, which rose like small islands. At this height, all the noise of the modern world was completely silenced. Only the vibrations of nature and the pride of conquering one's limits remained. Leaving Lotus Peak behind, the stone path began to slope gently downward toward the western side of the Huangshan range. It led deep into what is considered the wildest and most spectacular part of the entire mountain range. That was Xihai Grand Canyon, and from the very first steps, the landscape changed completely. If the peaks of Huangshan look like islands floating among the clouds, then this place feels like a gigantic stone world torn open by time. According to local accounts, it was formed when ancient granite masses were eroded by wind water and ice over millions of years. That process created a vast system of deep valleys, sheer cliffs, and hundreds of natural stone pillars rising hundreds of meters into the air. And when the mist drifted through the canyon, I finally understood why people say this place looks like a forgotten stone city. And when the mist drifted through the canyon, I finally understood why people say this place looks like a forgotten stone city. What makes Xihai Grand Canyon famous is not only its scenery, but also the pathways built directly into the cliffside. On one side stands a wall of granite, and on the other, an open drop hundreds of meters deep. Walking along these paths, you feel as if you are suspended between earth and sky. Many photographers and explorers believe Xihai Grand Canyon shows the raw beauty of Huangshan more clearly than anywhere else. There are no ancient temples here, no grand structures, only stone cloud and time. To connect the valley floor with the mountain peak, the funicular system at West Sea is considered one of the world's most cinematic experiences. With its frameless glass design, the train will take you through narrow mountain passes and swirling clouds. Sitting inside the carriage, you'll feel like you're on a spaceship landing on a distant planet. If possible, linger at West Sea until sunset. As the sun begins to set behind the western mountains, the entire rock labyrinth will be bathed in a brilliant orange-yellow hue. The last rays of light filter through the crevices in the rocks, casting long shadows down into the abyss, creating a powerful contrast between light and shadow. That's when you realize that West Sea is not just a tourist attraction, but a spiritual experience, a place where one finds absolute tranquility amidst the fury and grandeur of nature. Without extending my journey any further, I visited a natural force that has shaped the history of an entire nation. The Yellow River, over 5,400 kilometers long, flows through 9 provinces of China before emptying into the Bohai Sea. For thousands of years, this river has nurtured ancient civilizations and formed the first cities of China. My goodness, when viewed from above, the Yellow River's water isn't blue like many other rivers. My goodness, when viewed from above, the Yellow River's water isn't blue like many other rivers. Instead, it has a distinctive murky yellow color due to the enormous amount of sediment it carries. When heavy rains and strong winds erode this soil, millions of tons of dust and soil are swept into the river. Even more noteworthy is that over 4,000 years ago, agricultural communities began to form along the banks of the Yellow River. The fertile alluvial deposits brought by the river transformed the plains into ideal farmland. Thanks to this wheat and millet, two important crops of ancient China thrived here, amidst the impossible places. Today, when viewed from above, the Yellow River still retains the majestic beauty of an ancient river. When the sunset shines on the water, the entire river reflects a brilliant golden light, creating a scene that is both powerful and peaceful. Have you heard of this river? Leave your answer in the comments below so hiderplanet can know. On my final day in Huangshan, I chose Lion Peak as my gathering point. From a distance, the granite rock formations at the summit resemble a lion sitting and gazing down into the valley. That distinctive shape is what gave Lion Peak its name. But what made this place famous around the world is not just its appearance. Most people who want to experience Lion Peak begin their journey very early. Before sunrise, I climbed the stone steps leading to the summit, lit by small lamps lining the path. Standing on Lion Peak, the view ahead opened into the vast world of Huangshan. It was here that I understood that it wasn't just a viewpoint. It was a place where one could truly feel the vastness of nature. From here, the deep valleys, distant peaks, and slowly moving clouds create an almost endless landscape. For centuries, Chinese poets and painters have climbed here seeking inspiration amidst the impossible places. It's a moment that makes many believe Huangshan is one of the most beautiful places on Earth to watch the sunrise. And standing on the summit of Huangshan, looking at the sea of clouds drifting slowly below, one easily realizes a simple truth. There are places on Earth that are not just landscapes, they are masterpieces of this planet. Songshan, Henan. The highest peak is Lian Fong, with an altitude of approximately 1,512 meters. This is the highest peak among the 5 sacred mountains that has never been officially developed for tourism, and there is no cable car. Chinese mountaineers say this is the most dangerous of the 5 sacred mountains if you take the uncharted route. My advice to you is to prepare yourself with mountaineering experience, rope, good shoes, and don't go alone. It's a dangerous mountain in the silent but deadly way, not the overtly terrifying kind like Mount Hua. Huangshan, Anhui. Seen from a distance, it looks like a thin thread clinging to the sheer cliff face of impossible places. Just one misstep, and you'll understand why this is called the most dangerous mountain. Your legs will tremble, your heart will race, but the view will be breathtakingly beautiful. Huangshan Mountain is not for the faint of heart or those afraid of heights. It's a test of willpower. You're not conquering the mountain. It's simply allowing you to admire its beauty. Ma Shan, Sichuan here. You'll experience all four seasons in a single day at impossible places. At the base, it's lush summer green, but up at Kimjin, fierce winds and thick fog make you feel like you're standing at the edge of the world. To reach the top without a cable car, you have to climb tens of thousands of steep, narrow, and slippery stone steps in extremely high humidity. Some sections are so steep that you feel like you're crawling on all fours rather than walking. It's dangerous because of the steep, sheer terrain and wildly unpredictable weather, but that very harshness gives it a unique soul no other mountain has. What about you? Please leave your opinion about this mountain in the comments below and let hiderplanet know. Sichuan Mountain Ladders. This isn't a polished trekking resort with stainless steel railings. In Sichuan, especially on the sheer cliffs of Huangshan Mountain, the ladders are sometimes just wooden planks. And it's usually located at an altitude of around 800 meters above the valley. The only support was a few cold, round iron bars. On one side was a hard cliff, on the other, a bottomless abyss. The scariest thing isn't the altitude, but the sudden mountain winds that can make you feel like a leaf stuck to a wall. Never climb in the rain. The steel beams get slick as grease, and fog kills your visibility, dropping you into a blank white void that can easily trigger panic. Guoliang Village Road, Henan. When you think of Guoliang, don't imagine a wide, open highway. This is a road entirely hand-carved by 13 local villagers in the 1970s. As you begin to enter the tunnel, the space suddenly narrows. You'll find yourself nestled within the Taihong Mountains. The light doesn't come from streetlights, but filters through 35 natural windows, actually giant holes carved directly into the sheer cliff face. The name, "The Road Where Mistakes Are Not Allowed," is entirely fitting. The road is only about 4 meters wide, and just enough for 2 cars to pass each other extremely closely. Tiandu Peak. It earned the title of most dangerous due to its steep terrain and narrow, breathtaking mountain ridges. With its carp's backbone, this is the soul of Tiandu. A narrow strip of rock, barely 1 meter wide and over 10 meters long, with sheer drops of thousands of meters on both sides and no trees for cover. As you grip the icy cold iron chains, the wind whistling through the rocks makes your heart race faster than any cardio workout. A strange mix of extreme fear forces you to focus 100% on every step. At this moment, the world is reduced to just you and the rock. Along with the stairway to heaven, knees touch the step in front, while hands grip tightly onto the cable. Mount Huangshan. First of all, Mount Hua isn't the highest or most beautiful mountain in China, but it is the most treacherous. with 5 main peaks, but what truly gives people goosebumps is the Long Kong Stack Path, also known as the Plank Walk to Heaven. What do you think of a path about 30 centimeters wide with old wooden planks nailed to the sheer cliff face? Below lies a chasm, an estimated 700 to 1,000 meters of sheer drop. Many sources claim 100 deaths per year, but this number was actually exaggerated back when seatbelts didn't exist. Now that 2-point seatbelts are mandatory, with cameras and monitoring, accidents have decreased significantly. Minya Konka, Sichuan. If you think Everest is the ultimate challenge, then Minya Konka is nature's most powerful warning to the arrogant. While thousands of people attempt to climb Everest each year, only a handful manage to reach the summit of Minya Konka. The death rate there has at times reached 90%, far exceeding even the killer K2 in impossible places. Located on the edge of the Tibetan Plateau, it's a pocket where hot, humid air meets frigid air currents. Blizzards can strike in minutes, reducing visibility to 0. What about you? If you had the chance to stand before this awe-inspiring majesty, would you dare to admire its beauty? Broad Peak. If measured by death/success rate, Broad Peak typically ranks in the top 5 to 8, with approximately 8 deaths per 100 successful ascents. Along with the giant icebergs hanging overhead, plus the steep slopes prone to wind load, causing avalanches. You could be hit by falling rocks at any moment while going from BC to C1. According to the most recent data, Broad Peak has had approximately 400 to 500 successful ascents, but around 34 to 40 deaths. Many Chinese people consider it the Everest of Karakoram because of its height and fame, but they often underestimate its brutality. Jade Dragon Snow Mountain. From afar, Jade Dragon Mountain appears like a white jade dragon winding through the clouds. This is one of the world's most impregnable mountains. To this day, no one has truly conquered its highest peak. Stepping out of the cable car cabin at an altitude of 4,506 meters feels like you've just traveled through time to an oxygen-deficient planet. Your head will start to ache, your heart pounding as if it's about to jump out of your chest. Each step of the wooden staircase leading to the observation deck is a battle for survival between willpower and trembling legs. There are times when the fog descends so quickly that you can't even see your own hand, leaving only a cold, white, and menacing expanse. Between freezing cold and this fairy tale scenery, would you risk it all to stand on the Jade Dragon once? Comment your thoughts for hiderplanet. Kawagabo, Meili Snow Mountain. At approximately 6,740 meters high, its danger lies at the summit, despite numerous test expeditions since the beginning of the 20th century. And worse, the death rate is almost 100% for those who seriously attempt to conquer it. In late 1990, a joint Japanese-Chinese expedition decided to attempt the summit during winter. A time of extremely harsh weather. Locals have repeatedly warned against it and even built barriers, viewing Kawagebo as a sacred holy mountain. They say that anyone who crosses the sacred stone wall to climb it will anger the gods. This is considered one of the deadliest mountaineering accidents in history. My exploration of Mount Huangshan began at Greeting Guest Pine, where an ancient pine tree grows on a cliff at an altitude of over 1,600 meters. After hours of climbing narrow, winding ancient stone steps, the path finally opened onto a small stone terrace on the mountainside. And there, between a sea of clouds and sheer cliffs, I saw it for the first time. It may be hard to believe, but according to botanists, this tree has existed for more than 800 years. It grows at an elevation of around 1,600 meters, where the living conditions are extremely harsh. Powerful winds sweep through the area year-round. In winter, the mountain is covered in ice. The soil is almost non-existent, with only tiny cracks in the rock able to hold a little rainwater. Its roots weave deep into the fissures of the granite, gripping the mountain like natural anchors. The trunk has grown slowly over many centuries, each ring of wood forming under the constant pressure of wind and mist. It is precisely these harsh conditions that created the tree's unique shape, a form that does not grow straight upward. In Chinese culture, the pine tree has long symbolized endurance, longevity, and steadfastness. For centuries, the image of the greeting guest pine has appeared in ink paintings, travel writings, and even in cultural symbols of China. Today, it is regarded as an unofficial symbol of Huangshan.